Goodbye, yesterday. I'm living in the light of a new day. I won't waste another minute in my old ways. Praise the Lord, I've been born again. Friends and family, amigos y familia, it's Cola County. And guess what? I'm excited. I'm here with my boy, my bestie from the 2000s, since the 2000s. It's Mr. Matt Crowell. What's up, man?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I actually, you know what? I slept bad. I only got like 4 hours of sleep. I was on Tuesday mornings. I got this Bible study I go to it's 5:30 to 6:30 in the morning.
Wow.
But if I don't sleep well, I don't make it. So I went to bed at like 11 last night and woke up at 1:30 wide open and was up until like almost 5 and then slept for a couple more hours. And then I've been on it. So I don't know, man. I'm drinking coffee right now. So we'll see. You got more energy than me then. So yeah. When I first started this podcast, I had a list of people that I wanted to get on here, and you were high on that list. So
okay, well, I hope I don't disappoint then. I expect this to be your highest rated podcast, just for everyone that is listening. So
right, yeah. Well, hopefully so. Everybody's got a story. What's yours? You're originally from Nashville, right?
Yeah, Nashville. I lived in Franklin, Tennessee, but yeah, grew up in Nashville and moved to Knoxville about a year out of high school. After I graduated, I kind of did my thing and ended up here, and I've never left. I met my wife, Kristen, who you know very well, soon after that, like early 2001. It's been 25 years here, like in 2 months. So It's hard to believe we've been together for a quarter century. Yeah, but I've just met her. She's from here, and I never left. So I'm just enough distance from home where it's nice. So like I can go back home and do the family thing real quick, and get here. It's really home to me now. It's wild because I've lived here longer than I lived in Nashville. So this is home.
Yeah. So yeah, Kristen, you've been married almost 20. Will it be 25 years this year?
Well, we've been together 25 years and we've been married for 20 years. So
okay.
Yeah, but it's just wild. I just recently grew my hair out long like it was when she and I first dated. Miller drove me nuts about growing my hair out, and I just got it cut off earlier this week. It looked kind of ridiculous. I'll have to send it to you. It looked like it did 25 years ago, but I still have my hair. It's gray, but it's there. Yeah. So, Yeah, man. You're gonna send me the hair or a picture of the hair? I'm gonna send you the hair. I've got it in a bag and it's coming your way. So
awesome.
yeah, saved it for you, man.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Donate that or something. So any marriage advice then?
Oh man,
you guys get along so well. I've hung out with you and Kristen so much, and the bond you guys have to where, I mean, it's just amazing. Like it's like a friendship, but like super way stronger from an outsider's point of view.
The most important thing, we talk about this all the time, is just we don't go to bed angry. We rarely argue. We're blessed that we don't. And I don't know exactly what that is, but we just don't go to bed mad at one another. If we talk everything out, and we just don't. We're not bitter or anything like that. We don't, that's really the most important thing. Communication is key, man. It just is.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It is the communication between you guys, which is awesome.
Yeah, and we're just really good friends, and I love making fun of her, and she makes fun of me, and we can both dish it and take it, and it's nothing serious all the time. So we just, I don't know, we're really lucky, and we're just blessed in so many ways. It's unreal. So
yeah, and you have a son, Miller.
I do. He's about to be 16 years old. He's going to be 16 in May. He's getting ready to inherit his mother's car, which I don't know about you. You have to tell me, what was your first car? I'll tell you mine, but he's about to get a car that was bought brand new 3 years ago. It's got like 30-something miles, 30,000 miles. I had an 87 Civic, 4-door, so 4 friends, which I didn't have, could get in the back of my car. So I don't know what you had, but it cost like $1,500 or something crazy like that.
Yeah,
these kids
I had
are
an
spoiled
87.
now.
Yeah, I had an 87 Isuzu Pup that my
what is an
uncle
Isuzu Pup? I don't even know what that is.
It's the tiniest pickup truck. I actually Googled it the other day to show the girls because I was like, they said the same thing. What is that? So
I mean,
it's
I
just,
know some older cars, but I ain't never heard.
yeah,
That's crazy. And a
yeah,
Zuzu Pup. I got to look it
yeah,
up. That's
yeah,
unbelievable. Wow.
yeah.
That's better than a 4-door Civic, but whatever.
Yeah, but
Unbelievable.
so he's gonna get a new car. That's
I mean,
relatively new.
yeah, it's used, but it's new to him. And believe me, it's still under warranty. It's new. It's way nicer than anything I ever had. So
So are you teaching him right now?
he's done driver's ed at school. He drives us around. He's an incredible driver. It's really remarkable. I was so nervous about it, but he did very well. He's just a good driver. He pays attention, and I couldn't ask for more. Did you do driver's ed? I
Oh
did.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I actually had fun. I can remember my driver's ed teacher let me bring my E40 cassette, and he was a cool guy, and I had the newest E40, and I remember playing "One Love" by E40, riding around the Natchez Trace Parkway down there. Seriously, no, it's a true story. Yeah, man.
That's a good story. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Any parenting advice?
I don't even know that I have great advice. I'm probably the worst person to ask for parenting advice. I try to be present. I try to ask questions, just like I am with Kristen, open communication with him and making him understand that it's, important to not be afraid to come and talk to me or your mom about anything. You know how it is. Like sometimes they're more important, or at least with Miller, he's more comfortable asking me certain things and Kristen other things. It's kind of not, there's really no book for it. You never really know which thing he's dealing with, who he's going to come to, what he's comfortable with, with the particular problem that he's having. So that's kind of interesting. So, but just being there for him when he has those problems.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine. I don't see how you have little girls. There's a reason that the good Lord gave me a little boy, because if I was the father to a girl, it would I can't imagine. It's hard enough with a boy. I can't imagine having a little girl. So
yeah, the amount of patience it takes is it's a high level.
Oh, I'm not a very patient person, so that must be why it ended up the way it did.
Yeah, especially as the girls are getting older and the hormones and stuff. It's you never know, man. You gotta stay on your toes for sure. With these
well, I'm sure you do a fantastic job, and I know you do. So
yeah. Speaking of kids, you're a Titans fan coming from Franklin / in that area.
Yeah, I am.
Nashville. Libby, did you know that Libby is a Jacksonville Jaguars fan?
Really? And for what reason? Tell me this.
I think you're going to like the reason, although you don't like the Jaguars due to them being in the division with the Titans, but
I don't like them at all.
Pretty cool. She's like, yeah, I'm a Jaguars fan. And I'm like, but why? And she says, every time I play, I've got this NFL Blitz arcade cabinet.
Sure.
She says, every time I play it, I pick the Jags and I win. I'm like, all right,
okay.
Well, okay,
that's good enough. That works. Well, and ironically, that Blitz game came out. I'm assuming that was right when Jacksonville had joined the league. They were probably the new team on the game. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yep.
Were you a fan of a team before the Titans?
No, Miller asked me that sometimes. And when the only NFL I can ever remember watching when I was a child, my father and I he and my brother and I would do a thing where we would like pick the Monday Night Football game every week. And it was more so one person would pick the winner and the other person got stuck with the other two. And then somehow the winner or loser had to do chores or things around the house. It was kind of, early gambling when I was 9 years old on Monday Night Football for my father.
For nice. Chores.
I just thought about that. Yeah, thanks.
But Vandy, it was Vandy that you were rooting for always.
Yeah, well, yeah, just that was, my mother went to Peabody School of Education, which is part of now Vanderbilt's, Department of Teaching or something in that regard. So she was always a fan. My grandfather was a huge fan. Guilty as charged. I just grew up that way. I grew up to despise the University of Tennessee and to be a Vandy fan. And it's hard. Yeah. We've had our couple of moments, but other than that, man, it's rough.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. We were doing some things, it seems like.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember how we met?
I remember the first time ever meeting you at a poker game. If I remember correctly, it was at the Kingston Alley, and I have some memory of going. If this is the first memory I remember, going out to a car to grab maybe some chips or something to help carry or move or something, and you were with somebody. And am I correct, or do you remember before that?
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember that. I mean, I remember playing poker with you at the Kingston Alley, but I don't remember that particular event. But
yeah, I think you might have been with somebody, or I don't even know. You might have helped carry something in. I think a lot of times back then, those little poker games, if you help like carry the chips from the parking lot, he'd throw you an extra 5,000 to start the game, which is like 5 times what everybody else gets to start with. It was absurd. Or, it was the same kind of thing when you bought drinks and food and things. You got all these extra chips. So if you just came in there and didn't buy anything, you're pretty much, never going to win. So.
Right. Yeah.
That's so funny. And it was at Kingston Alley. That's the place I remember playing. And that place has been bulldozed and rebuilt. So
yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Good riddance. I don't think anything good happened at the Kingston Alley. So
no, it never did. Not that I can remember. Yeah.
Oh man.
I think Britt and I kissed for the first time in the parking lot.
Okay, well then I take all that back. That was spectacular.
I'm sure the parking lot's still there somewhere.
It's somewhere. Absolutely. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I remember playing poker with you, and man, you are a good poker player. Do you still play?
I maybe once every couple of years, I'll get a phone call, Jay Shores or somebody will call, and I'll go and I'll lose $100 or something like that. I mean, it's one of those things. I always was pretty decent. I mean, there's luck involved, but there's a lot of patience and skill and stuff involved in it too. And I think it's one of those things, kind of like pool or any of those darts or any of those little bar games. If you play often enough, you stay sharp and you're better than if you get a little rusty. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think I'd be nearly as good as I was. When was that? That was 2006 when I started playing at those little games. So yeah, it's been 20 years ago. It's been a while.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I went with my buddy Aaron, and we went to the arcades in the mall. And he was like the best Mortal Kombat player ever. And I could just sit there and watch him play. I never played. I just stood there and watched him. I was like his crony. And I think I've gone to several poker events where I've just sat there and watched you play, which isn't as exciting as Mortal Kombat because you fold like 90% of hands. So I'm just sitting there watching you fold. But still, that's you're someone that I could just stand there and watch play poker.
Wow. Well, I appreciate that. I enjoy the crap out of it. If once you get married, once you have kids, all that stuff, you don't have time for all that. So I wish I was just filthy rich and could just go on and play on the circuit and not do anything. That'd be the life. But that's not reality.
Yeah, we were just in Hawaii at a resort, and they had a poker night, like a free poker night for the people that went. And we had the girls in the room. They had a cell phone. We locked the door, had a key password and everything to get in. So we went downstairs of the hotel and got in this free poker game. And we walk in, and Britt's like, "Oh no, I don't know that this is for us," because we were the youngest people in there. Everybody else was definitely over 50, and there was about 3 tables worth of players there. And we sat down. We played for about 30 minutes, and she went out. And then I played every hand, and I ended up losing after she went out. But yeah, it was because I hadn't played in several years, but to see the crowd that was there, it looked like maybe they had just rolled out of the slot machines at the casino from there into the lobby of the hotel, and we're enjoying some free poker. But yeah.
That's funny. At least you had fun,
Yeah, yeah, we had a good time, and it made a story. She's like, "Take a video." I had on my recording glasses, so I took a video with my glasses of like all these old people, and then it pans over to her, and she's like the youngest person in there. So
that's great. That's the best. But you have to play. You saw it, and you're like, "We got to do it." I get that. Yeah. I would have done the same.
It was her idea too. She's like, "We gotta go do this." Remember when we did this at Kingston Alley? I'm like,
"Oh my goodness, that's the best."
Yeah. Didn't Young Be Gone?
Yeah, that's right. That was a nice little side gig. And that was, when I started working at UPS, that was my day job, and UPS was my night job. And, I've been at UPS 20 years this September.
But I remember that I'd go out, we'd get in there in the morning. Well, I think I'd probably get there earlier than you did because you could come in a little later. but then you'd just come in and you'd sit there and almost, secretarial work, right? You were answering the phones and whatever you did. But I'd come back from driving around all day and you'd be like, dude, I did the research on hacking a Wii. It's pretty easy. We got to do this.
Yeah. I had free time.
Yeah.
I did it. And I was like kind of a secretary. I think he called it the office manager, which to your point, right. It's like a fancy word for a secretary. And I would just answer the phones and do whatever. But it was the perfect, other than it being all the way out where it was in Farragut, it was the perfect gig for what it was that I was doing in my life. Yeah. And I would just spend free time on my computer. I'd mod all these video game systems and things like that to play, just anything. That was the beginning of me modding video games. So
yeah.
And systems or whatever.
That's all we talked about. I'm so excited about it. And it was like a whole new world. I could get all these old games that I played on my new system and just access them anytime. Yeah, which I think, at the time was, you had to actually work to do that. Now you can, you can buy little machines that have it all on there, all those older games. It's wild, but you had to actually build them and do all that stuff yourself then. So, yeah. So when that started happening, I came over to your house to play video games. Do you remember I remember playing Smash Brothers a lot.
Yeah, we did. I don't know what the deal was at the time, but Smash Brothers, I don't know the names of each version, but whatever the one was for the Wii was so hot at the time. We must have played that. I don't even know how many hours I put into that game, but it was so much fun. So much fun. I'm sure it's still fun, but I do remember you came over a lot. I remember the time you came in with the backpack full of liquor. We don't drink anymore. For everybody listening, we're adults now. We don't drink anymore, but this guy did full but I don't even know what you had. It was like you'd mix gin and tonic in a backpack, and
in a Camelback,
in a Camelback, as any normal person would do to sit there and play video games. But it was smart; you never had to get up. So
just to pee. I should have wore a diaper. Then I could have just been like.
But did you have a diaper? I don't remember you peeing, so you might have had a diaper.
I could have,
for all I know.
Right? Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny.
Other than playing socially like that together, like. I don't ever remember seeing you play video games by yourself. It was always Kristen playing and you watching her.
Yeah, and I don't play now. She played all weekend. Well, I say all weekend. She played this past weekend, and I watched her play. She was playing a new game called Reanimal that just came out from the makers of Little Nightmares. She really enjoyed. She loves Little Nightmares 1 and 2. Little Nightmares 3, which wasn't done by the original people. It's done by the people that are now making Reanimal. It wasn't as good. And so this is it's fun. It's kind of one of those nightmare horror games that you kind of go around in a world. She loves it. And I just, I get more joy now of just sitting there and watching her play, whether she's playing some Zelda or Mario or whatever. I can just sit back and just watch her mess up. And she she's not the best video gamer by any means, but she is so persistent. She will beat everything. She will take a break if she gets frustrated. She is so persistent. It's so fun to watch. So
you sent me that video of your power went out and you ran a generator from your car to power the TV and the switch for her to play a Zelda game or something.
She had bought one of the 2D Zelda games and waited forever for it to come out. And it was a Friday. She got home and the power was out. So I ran my battery out of my car into the living room TV and the switch or whatever. And she sat there with the power out playing her game. She was dying to play. I got it done. So that is how you keep your marriage going back. A little callback. There you go.
Yeah. That's how you do marriage advice.
Run the power for the Zelda game. Get it going.
That's right. Yeah. So when I did an episode about my dogs, the episode is mostly about my dogs. So I talked about when I was in high school, my neighbors had a dachshund named Fred, a big fat wiener dog, who'd come over and he'd just hang out with me. It was funny because my daughters were FaceTiming my mom the other day, and she showed him a picture of me and my sister, their aunt, and there was Fred there right beside me on the couch in high school. So he always just came over and hung out with me. So that's when I learned that I loved wiener dogs. I loved a good wiener. And then when I came out and hanging out with you playing games, you had Ollie and Gretchen.
Correct.
Were those your first dachshunds?
No, I don't. If you don't know this story, this ought to be good for the podcast. I had a dachshund when I was a little boy, when I was probably, we were probably 10 years old, and his name was Nike. We named him Nike, and Nike committed suicide.
Oh gosh.
I know it sounds terrible, and it sounds terrible. This is the best story. My father had set up a leash, like a tie for him on the back porch at our house. And he kind of drilled a hole through the middle of the porch. And it was a run where the dog could run around in a perfect circle, right? Well, you can actually run off the side of the porch, which is about 6 feet tall off the ground, and strangle yourself to death. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the story goes is this. We were told when we were children, we came home from school one day, the dog had run away.
Yeah.
We never knew the difference. When I'm about 26 years old, I'm home for the weekend. My dad says to me, I got to tell you something. If I die, I don't want to take it to my grave. And he tells me what really happens is he comes home from work just a few minutes before my brother and I are going to get off from the school bus, and finds this dog stiff, hard as a rock, hanging underneath the porch. He quickly has to cut it down and throws it underneath the house into like a crawl space. And when we come walking up, tells us the dog has run away. And we look for it all night long, never find it. Yeah. He tells us after we went to bed, he drove down the street to the dump and threw him in the dumpster because he didn't know what to do with it. So my whole life until I was 26, I thought my poor dog Nike had run away, but he accidentally killed himself and got thrown in the dumpster while I was asleep. It's terrible. Isn't that
awful? That
but
is
my
awful.
poor father, at home alone, didn't know what to do. I mean, I guess he did the best he could to protect us from finding a dead dog. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well.
That same thing happened to my mom when she was a kid, not the dumpster part, but they had a dog tied to their porch there was like steps that went off the porch. It fell in between the wooden steps, and they came home and the kids found it. So,
wow, that's crazy. So don't tie your dogs at something they could walk off of. That's just kind of crazy. If you're going to do it, make it short enough where they can't walk off the side, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that was my first dog. And then when I met Kristen, she had a little dachshund, or maybe two of them, when she was a little girl. And so when she and I first started dating, at this point, I'm saying 25 years ago, we've been together probably a year and a half or something like that. And she was going to go on spring break with her friends, and somehow she couldn't go, and she had saved the $500. This is how cheap things were back then, to go on spring break. And instead she wanted to buy a Wiener dog. And so we got Oliver. And then a year later, Oliver needs a friend. So there came Gretchen. You know how that goes. So, but it was her spring break money. She preferred to not go on spring break and instead to buy the dachshund, and that started it. And now we've had 3. So
yeah. I'm really surprised that she hasn't talked you into getting more.
Yeah, I think the time has passed. If she was ever going to get me to do it, he would have to be, he's 4 years old now. He just went to the vet yesterday, but he was 4 years old back in October. He's just at this point kind of too old to introduce a puppy. So I think the time has passed, but you never know when he's gone. Inevitably at some point we might do 2 the next go around. It really just depends. You know how hard it is boarding and having to deal with that when you travel and stuff. That's really, if it wasn't for that, she could have 5 of them for all I care. So
let me rewind. So then when we were hanging out there at your house, I saw your dachshunds, and it sparked my love. I remembered about Fred and how much I love dachshunds. So then Britt and I went and got Sophie when we were there in Knoxville, and about 6 months later got Daphne.
Yeah, I was going to ask how much time passed, because at the time you two were living in a little condo or kind of thing down off Middlebrook, if I remember correct.
Yeah, a little townhome. Yep.
Yeah, I can remember coming over there one night, and you kind of had a room near the front door that was like a gaming room or something like that. I have a memory of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they They were about Sophie was born in April and Daphne was born in July. So however many months that is, but not too
Okay.
far apart. So
Do you have any memory of what you paid for them? Because I remember both of ours being like $500.
that was
'Cause
about
now
it.
now they're like 2,000 or more. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Now, yeah. Yeah. We paid like $500 from some lady in Maryville that was like, had a trailer full of dachshunds that she
Yeah,
was
well, because back
breeding.
then we were talking about that recently because she found him like in the classifieds in the paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you would look up dogs in the paper, and we drove out somewhere out in Seymour and got him. So it's the same kind, and got Gretchen kind of the same way or something like that. One of them we picked up, but yeah, you had to look in the classifieds and look them up and go to some stranger's house. Isn't that wild? So,
Yeah.
yeah, they're great dogs though. I'm really, I get on to Ozzy, our newest, and we haven't mentioned Ozzy. We mentioned Oliver and Gretchen. Rest in peace to those two wonderful dogs. But Ozzy now, he's really just a great dog. I mess with him and I clown on him, act like he's a bad dog all the time, but he really is the sweetest dog. So
Yeah. And we've always had girl dogs, and this is the first boy dog we've had, and I can see the difference. It's like,
oh yeah,
crazy.
oh yeah, they're totally different temperaments.
Yeah. After losing a dog is super hard. And
That's the worst.
it really is.
I don't wish that on anyone. That's the worst part.
It is. It really
that's
is.
the part that I have to think about every time. It's like, do we really want to go through with this? It's coming. Oh, but it's 15, 18 years from now. Yeah, but it's coming. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Ugh, so.
Yeah. I'm hoping by then I can move the kids out of the house and they'll take the dogs with them so I don't have to be there. They can do that on their own.
Well, this is a total weenie move, but I've not had any part of Oliver and Gretchen when she did that. I'm just like, I can't do it. That's the deal we make in the beginning. That's the deal with Ozzy. When the time comes, that's on you. I'm not the kind of person. I'm really an emotional person. I'm a crier. I'm not going to do that. Like, so I'm sorry that you're on your own and you agreed to that. So, good luck with that. I can't do it.
Yeah. I did Daphne by myself. And that was tough.
I'm just such a tender heart. I have a memory of them now they come to us to do it. It's a really nice thing where, like, you don't have to take them to a scary vet. When we did it, they actually came to the house and did it here on location or whatever.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. But I saw them carry Oliver out, and I have a memory of his poor little legs hanging out the back of the blanket, and that's my last memory. And it's just a terrible memory to have, but it's life, and that they're animals, and it is what it is. So
yeah, it is. But that was my thing with getting these new ones. I told the kids, like, I want no part of it. I don't want number one, I don't want dogs again because of that. I don't want to have to go through that again. I'm good with a possible fish tank.
Yeah,
but
you sound like me.
Yeah, somehow they talked Britt into it, and then it was 3 versus 1. So I told him, I said, hey, when these dogs come home, I'm not there. I have zero responsibility. I'm not feeding them. I'm not potty training them. So that's, and then of course they come home and here I am feeding them and stuff. And of course the dogs love me because I'm the one that feeds them. So it's, I got suckered into that big time. But,
and do they sleep in the bed? Yes. You've told me this. I know this.
Yeah. Gracie sleeps with Avery every night in her bed.
Oh wow, that was what Miller was gonna have Ozzy do, and that never took. It never happened. Yeah. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what? Okay.
And
so
Potato kind of flip flops. He'll sleep with me sometimes. And Libby wants him most of the time, and he'll go in there and fall asleep with her. And then in the middle of the night, he'll wake up. She'll come in and bring him in at 1 a.m. to me, and then he'll sleep with me the rest of the night. So that's.
Now,
great.
does he want to come in there, or why is she bringing him to you? Just because
he does.
Okay, he does. He wakes up. He's like, oh, geez, I want to be in there. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not waking up to like go to the potty or whatever. He's waking up to come into my bed.
He's looking for you, the one that didn't even want him in the first place.
I know it. Yeah.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah. But then we became drinking buddies through the video games, through the dogs. I want to talk about drinking.
Yeah, let's do it. My favorite thing. Oh, Lord.
I drank a lot of liquor back then. I didn't drink a whole lot of beer unless it was Keystone Light.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember you drinking a whole lot of liquor, though. Did you?
Well, that was, as we know, I'm in recovery. I've been sober 10 years the 10 years this June. So I
Wow.
was going to say
Yeah.
from alcohol because I struggled with addiction before I was even married. And I've been sober from opiates and things like that for 21 years now.
Wow. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, but yeah, I drank, I would hide. I drank a ton of liquor. I would hide it. That was more towards in the end. But we got it. We got into drinking. At least I did more as a hobby because of the
Yeah.
craft beer boom, and it was just kind of a thing. And then I think it turned into something else. With me being the type of person that struggled with addiction in general. Don't at the time I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. It was just a hobby.
Mm.
It's just something fun. We're all doing it. These things they all taste different. This is wild. It's just,
Yeah.
it just seemed like a thing to do. And then before you know it, you're drinking other things and you're drinking liquor because you need that. If you don't have this stuff, you start to kind of feel bad. And that's when you realize you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. When did you start drinking?
When I got clean from in 2005, right before I was going to marry Kristen, I got clean. I went to a rehab, went into a methadone clinic. I had a terrible opiate addiction, a terrible addiction to things like that at the time. And by the grace of God, I walked away from that, never touched it again, but I replaced it with alcohol. To be truthful, it's funny, this is all going to come together. I needed something to do. I was newly sober from this crippling pill addiction, and I heard about bar league poker. It's all going to come back. And I go to do this free thing. I don't have any money. I don't really want to spend a bunch of money. So I go to these bars and I'm playing this free poker. And at the time you kind of just start to drinking, you need something to do. You're getting free extra chips so you can win the tournament if you buy drinks, So I'm buying drinks and, I guess that's from 2005. And it progresses. I drank from 2005 all the way up until 2016 when I inevitably got sober. So that's 11 years. Now, I will say in those 11 years, clearly I wasn't drinking like I was the last couple of years. But basically, it was a progression. I never got rehabilitation when I got sober the first time. I was never taught about the type of person that I was. I was never, I didn't realize, hey, when you get into things, you really get into things. So you replace this one addiction with, unbeknownst to you, another thing. But unfortunately, this addictive thing can ruin your life and it can kill you and it can make you very violently ill and everything, so. Yeah. I'm not making excuses for my actions. I'm just saying I stepped right into it and just, I walked right into the perfect storm and I didn't realize it. So what was a fun hobby was a bad idea.
Yeah. And that is your personality. I have an addictive personality as well, especially with chemicals, I guess. I've always had an addictive personality there, but the way your personality is that you will deep dive into something and find out everything about that thing. Just like hacking the Wii. I'd come back from driving the truck and you'd be like, dude, I know how the Wii, like you broke down the internal components of the Wii and I can hard mod, I can soft mod, I can do this. You deep dive into these subjects into where you're an expert and you were an expert drinker.
I was an expert drug user. I absolutely. And drinker. I'm all in on everything. You nailed it. I mean, you nailed it. That's me, but that's the thing. And then thank goodness with my rehab, for my drinking, I learned that I'm like that. I don't know why you don't recognize that, but I truly know that's who I am. And I have to watch myself. I have things that I have to notice. I can remember having a conversation with Kristen when I was in the facility down in Florida, and my counselor at the time's telling Kristen these little things. Hey, be careful if you start noticing this or that. Be weird. He might be getting really into something. It can't. It doesn't have to always be drugs or alcohol. Sure. You can be addicted to anything. So you could be addicted to any hobby. It could be golf. If I start playing golf 12 hours a day, something's wrong. So.
Oh God. Cut to you out there under the lights at the driving range.
Yeah, at 2 a.m. Yeah, but that's just, I know that's how I am. I got to take a step back and go pump the brakes, Matt. Going back to Miller, it's the scariest thing about being a parent, I think, is I see these, I'm so scared that he's going to make the same mistakes as me. And that's, I think every parent's fear is part of that. So I'm always just watching these things. Currently he's really into, doing some weightlifting, and he started playing football last year. And so he's working out, and he's gotten really into that. And I have to just tell him, hey man, be careful. Don't get so into this. I'm all for him having hobbies and things he's into and stuff. But, knowing the lineage that he comes from, and I maybe he's totally different than me, but I still kind of keep an eye, and I want to make sure he doesn't get these obsessive. It's mainly an OCD, behavior with me. I just get really into something, and I'm just, I don't want to see that in him. I hope he's better than me.
Yeah. And that was, the craft beer culture kind of led into that, because I think you started drinking craft beer before I did, because then I didn't get into it. Like I said, I was drinking Keystone Lights until we moved out to Colorado. And then I remember going to like a pizza place and having like a Denver Pale Ale for the first time. And I remember sending you a picture of it, like, oh man, they've got craft beer here. But then that kind of lit the fuse for me, where then we had something else to bond over, but other than poker and video games, then we had craft beer, and we, kept sending each other pictures of what we were drinking and finding we'd mail each other beers. It was almost like, a Pokemon, you gotta catch them all. We had to try every beer. We were out to try them all, and that wasn't good. I remember telling my uncle, like, in 2 years, I had tried like 4,000 beers or something absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's insane, man. And so, we went all in on the craft beers, and I feel like I still can, like, Britt's dad will be like, what should I order? And I know what he likes, and I can look at a menu and be like, well, this is what this is going to taste like. And I can still see the flavor profiles on a menu and be like, I know you don't like hops, so stay away from these. And
that's something I guess I would never forget, anything like that. But
But
it was fun. I'm not trying to take anything away from it either. It was fun. For what it was, it was fun.
Yeah. But it's that, on top of having an addictive personality, leads to a super strong addiction.
Yes.
I remember where I was when you told me that you were quitting drinking.
Really? I remember where I was when I called you. I was at the airport. But where were you?
I was in the parking lot of a Home Depot in Longmont, because at the time I worked for the Milwaukee Tools. And I remember standing out by my truck, and you'd call me, and I was standing there in that parking lot, which is coincidentally the same exact Home Depot and parking lot where my mom had called me and told me that my grandfather had passed away, which is weird. Maybe that's why I remember that, because it's the same exact parking lot.
Or maybe stay away from that parking lot.
Yeah, definitely. I have not been back to that Home Depot since I left that job. So I'm going to stay away from that.
You never go back.
But it was like, but I remember when you called me, you were super emotional, because I think you had plans to come out here. And you were calling me like, man, I'm not going to make it. I gotta check out here. And, you were very emotional. And I remember thinking, like, this is good. Like, this is going to be a good thing. I remember feeling that, like, don't be sad about this. This is going to work out for the best. But,
I remember calling. I remember being emotional. I was very scared. I mean, that's the scariest thing. That moment, every time you talk to anybody as in the beginning, as you're going through that, it's just so emotional, because you're so embarrassed and you're ashamed, and it's, no, but you do know, if long as you work the steps, and, and with a little bit of luck, I guess things will get better. But that was definitely the hardest. I can remember you talk about that. I can remember calling Kristen to tell her that I wanted to go to that rehab, and that was the hardest part's admitting you got a problem. They always say that. That's very true. But I can remember that was very hard, because I had already had the issue, 11 years prior to that. And it's like, man, this is not going to be good. It could potentially be the end of everything. She could just be like, forget it. but I'm so lucky that she stuck with me, and there's not a third chance. I've been told that. So, and I'm with her. I don't think there needs to be a third chance. So,
Right.
we're just going to keep the straight and narrow. So.
What made you realize that you had to go? You had to.
It was a long time coming. I had bookmarked a facility that ended up being the facility in my phone for months or so before, and I'm just waiting to click to call the number, and I don't know what happened, Kevin, something came over me one day. I don't even really remember. I remember lying in the floor in the little rec room at that rambling house that I used to live in, and I just remember it kind of being in a haze, and I'm laying there on the floor, and I just made the call. Like I just knew something came over me, and I knew that was the moment. I have to do this right now, and I just did it. And once you make that call, there's no turning back,
Right.
So best decision I ever made. I ended up at the best facility, and yeah, it is what it is. It's all in the back now. But you know what? I wouldn't take any of it back my entire life, none of it, because it made me who I am today. And I'm not proud of everything that I've done by any means, but I am who I am. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man.
I remember, I don't know if it was that same day or shortly after you had quit. I remember talking to you and being like, dude, I'm going to still be your friend. Like we're still going to be friends. I'm not going to leave you because I still drink and you don't. But I remember telling you, we can find something else we have in common. We can, collect shoes or hats or baseball cards or something. Like, let's still vibe on this level. Now, not knowing your addictive personality, like it's probably best we didn't get into another thing, or else
probably
you
so.
Could have spent millions of dollars on shoes or something.
Oh man, yeah. I probably didn't need a new hobby fresh out of rehab, but I really, you don't understand how much I appreciate you supporting me, because I lost pretty much everybody through that. Because truth be told, a lot of the people, the majority of the people I was hanging out were just beer friends, and they weren't real friends like someone like you. And so once you're gone, they're like, well, there's another guy that's got something special we can drink. You're just a number in a community like that. So, the true people that are my friends, there's a couple of them that I still talk to, and that I'm eternally grateful for that. So,
yeah, and I'm the same way. I've lost several friends like that too. It's weird because, well, I ran across a Bible verse last week that I'm going to read here. Let me see if I can find it. It's 1 Peter 4. I had never really seen this until last week, and it popped up, and I'm like, oh man, this nails it. It's crazy that this was written 2,000 years ago, but in 1 Peter 4, verse 3-6, it says, you have had enough in the past of the evil things that godless people enjoy, their immorality and lust, their feasting and drunkenness and wild parties, and their terrible worship of idols. Of course, your former friends are surprised when you no longer plunge into the flood of wild and destructive things they do, so they slander you. But remember that they will have to face God, who stands ready to judge anyone. Blah blah blah. But yeah, it kind of says like,
wow, yeah.
If you switch from if you become sober, your friends aren't going to like it,
right?
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, that's hard to believe that that's in there. I've never seen that either. But that you hit the nail on the head. That's it. So
yeah.
Wow.
And at first, and still probably, I know with some people, I'm like, dude, you can drink around me. I remember you telling me like, just drink, like you were sober and I was still drinking. You were like, go ahead and drink. It's not going to affect me. I think when I came back to Knoxville and visited you, like if you want to have a beer, I'm fine. It's not going to tempt me. And I told people that then and still now. I guess it's a respect thing maybe for them too, but
it's almost worse though. You're exactly right. Cause I remember once I'm like comfortable around people, I'm like, just do it. Like you intentionally not drinking to hang out with me makes me feel bad. Just do your thing.
It's way more awkward too.
Yeah. Just be yourself. It doesn't bother me. How dare me ever care what you do? Just do your thing. So
do you think you having a shot of vodka, I'm going to be, years sober saying, oh, all right, you broke it open. Let's pour them out. Like that's not going to happen.
No.
So I don't know what advice I'd give to people. I guess just do you. And if somebody's truly sober, that's not going to affect them. Like it's better to be you than be a false version of yourself. I guess.
Absolutely, especially when a lot of time has passed. If it's fresh and new, obviously have some respect. But when there's been a ton of time, just I mean, gracious sakes. Yeah, you're just making it worse by not.
Yeah. I celebrated my 4-year soberness last week, just a couple days ago. And it seems longer than that. When I say it out loud, I'm like 4 years. I'm like, I don't know. It seems the sobriety is such a part of me now that it's like, it seems like that's who I've always been. I know that's not true, but it feels that way, you know?
Yeah. I think it gets to a point when enough time passes, you do start to feel that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And Britt quit about 6 months before I did. And she came to me and was like, I'm not drinking anymore. That doesn't mean you have to stop. And she's known through the years that if she tells me I need to do something, I usually do the opposite. So her giving me that freedom to be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. You do you. And, you know, it felt good because I slowed down a lot then, but I still drank. And, you know, I still kind of hid it from her too, because I didn't want to tempt her about it. And like you said, when you're early on too, that's kind of a respect thing as well. But
yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. A lot of the people that get out of rehabs and things, when they don't come back to a good, that's one of the biggest things. When I got out of that, if I'd come home and Kristen had kept drinking or hadn't taken all the alcohol out of the house, man, you're just asking for it. You're not, I just don't see how you can get sober in a situation like that.
No. Yeah. With it just being there. That's true.
Yeah. Just out and everywhere. So I wonder, did you cut back? We were just talking about, you know, people respecting others. Do you think you tried to like not drink around her in the beginning a whole lot, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I remember going to the garage and drinking beers so she wouldn't like see me drinking.
And at the same time, are you not going, what a loser? What am I doing? I'm out in the garage drinking, you know? I'm looking back on it. You go, what was I doing? You know?
Yeah. That was really sad. And that just points more to the problem and to the issue. But I did cut back a lot, and I could have, at the time, she was like proud of me. She's like, you can have 2 beers and stop. I could never, she was like, I couldn't do that, you know? And in reality, I couldn't either. I don't know. That was just a slow point because, you know, I couldn't have 2 beers. I would be amazed at the people that could go into bars and order like a beer with their food and then be fine and stop drinking.
Oh yeah.
Once I started drinking, it was until I went to sleep. There was no
absolutely. And how many times have you done this where like you pass out with like a half drunk bottle of, you know, a bourbon or whatever, and you wake up and it's still there and you just chug it and roll back over and fall asleep. I've done that so many times.
Yeah.
Because it can't go to waste. I mean, and that's just so pathetic. Yeah. So
yeah. And you know, I'd go to these craft beer tastings where everybody would bring a bottle of beer, and you know, these people we'd all sample. Somebody'd bring a rare bottle of beer, and you know, we'd all sample it, and then there'd be about a third of the bottle left, and they'd be like, "No, I tried it, I'm good," you know, and I'd be like, "Oh no, we're gonna mix all these bottles together, and I'm gonna chug it. Watch this, because there will be no waste, no wasted beer."
Oh man,
yeah, that's super sad too, but yeah,
that's amazing.
At first, when Britt quit, I felt like I had got it under control enough to where I could just have 2 beers and stop, but that wasn't the case, and it escalated more over the next 6 months. And then I woke up one morning so hungover, I'm like, that's enough. I can't do that again. So, and you know, how many times did you wake up hungover and say, that's the last time I'm ever drinking? And then later that night you're cracking open.
Right. I'm impressed. So you did that and you haven't drank since that moment.
Yeah, that was, I mean, It was rough, that hangover. And I think, you know, as you get older, the hangovers get worse.
Sure.
But I went super hard that day before. I actually went to a beer tasting, and then switched to vodka and then stayed up all night just drinking everything. I remember calling my mom crying that night, just drunk at 2 a.m. So then I woke up that next day just dry heaving, and I'm like, I cannot do this again. And that was it, man. I just pulled the plug on it. And and now, you know, they make all these non-alcoholic beers, which is cool. They didn't have those. I mean, there was O'Doul's growing up, right?
Right.
And now they've got all these different options, which can help you get off of that. And that's kind of, do you have any advice of how people can break those addictions?
We drink those non-alcoholic beers, and I say drink those very rarely. Like I might have one every couple of weeks on the weekend or something like that. And not because I'm like, oh, I don't need to have a bunch, because they're non-alcoholic. I'm so far from that being a habit that I don't even think about it. You know what I mean? I think they're great. If you'll notice, there's all kinds of commercials for them. It's kind of like the hip new thing. I believe alcohol numbers in general are down, and a lot of them are swinging towards trying to make non-alcoholic because there seems to be more money in that now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, maybe we were just ahead of the trend. Maybe we're trendsetters and we just don't know it. You and me, these two old guys. Yeah, trendsetters. So.
Yeah. Britt will have the non-alcoholic beers still. I'm kind of over it. I'm like, I don't need those calories. If I'm going to get more calories in my body, I'm going to eat them.
Okay, that's fair.
So I've had a 6-pack of non-alcoholic porter in the fridge for like a year. There's still 3 left. So I've drank,
to be fair, the dark beer non-alcoholics are just so gross. I think that's a style. You and I have known enough about the beer industry. That's a style that I don't think that when you take the alcohol out, it just doesn't work. But there are certain type styles that do work quite well. So hey, listen, if you are new to sobriety, I wouldn't advise drinking them. But hey, if you've been sober for a while and you want to try it, I tell everybody. I've told a few people that I work with, that were sober for a while, hey, try one. And if you take that first sip, I can remember drinking the first one when I first tried it. I'd been sober for a couple of years, and I bought a 6-pack, and I told Kristen, I said, when I take this sip, if I feel some type of way, you take this stuff away immediately. I was very cautious, and I took a sip, and it didn't trigger any type of, I need the real thing for the buzz. I thought my brain said, oh, this ticks that box. This'll work. Let's drink these if we want to. So it's been perfect for us.
Yeah, I remember relying on those more when I first quit drinking. Like when we go out to eat, I'd have to have one of those just to be like almost socially drinking, but still, I don't know.
So you kind of use it more as a means to kind of taper off like you're drinking and beer or whatever. Yeah, that's bizarre. I mean, that's cool. I'm glad that it worked. So
yeah, I guess so. But I wanted to tell you a story. I don't know if Britt's gonna be happy about me telling this story, but because it's about her.
Okay.
We went out to eat. I'd say it was about 4 months ago to this super fancy sushi restaurant. Ridiculous.
Wow. Okay.
You don't even order the sushi. You just walk in and they bring you what they think you should eat.
Okay. Okay.
And but she ordered a non-alcoholic cocktail, and they brought it to her, and she took one drink of it and started crying.
Oh no, I know what you're going to say.
This is alcohol. And she had been sober 4 years at this point. So she calls the waiter was super cool about it. She calls they comped our meal and gave us $200 in gift cards just because she took one sip of an alcoholic drink. But I'm like, why are you crying? She's like, I felt that burn. Like, I felt it like flashed her back, I guess, which is
that's scary. I get that. Wow.
Yeah. It like she was tore up about it. And I mean, it's valid. That feeling is absolutely valid. But I couldn't put myself in her shoes. I was just like, well, you just had a sip. You're still sober. You're not gonna go out and buy a bottle of vodka now. Like,
no.
But I guess I just couldn't put myself in her shoes to feel that. I wasn't as sympathetic probably as I should have been, but it was pretty traumatic.
Well, I've been a little leery of that potentially happening to me, but I rarely would order something like that for that reason. But let's be real, that does not count. Your breaking of sobriety is your active choice to act on that.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That is an unfortunate thing. It's no different than if I had to go in tomorrow and have a surgery and they had to put me on some type of medication or drug to have that surgery. Now I'm scared to death of something like that happening, but I'm not going and trying to find the drugs. I'm not seeking them on the street. I'm taking them because medically I have to, or I'm going to be whatever,
Exactly.
So I feel that for her. I can't imagine because I haven't been in that situation, but
Yeah.
From my point of view, she did not break the sobriety. That is
No.
terrible. But
Yeah.
man, that feeling, that as soon as you feel it, I can
Yeah.
feel that, it going down your throat, the warmth, and you just know. Oh
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty rough.
Did
But
she
like I
just
said,
look at you and go, "Oh no"? You just knew.
oh yeah. And she just started crying. I was like, oh man. I called the waiter over, and like I said, they were super cool. They took care of everything, which is awesome. But yeah, we haven't been back to that restaurant since. But
yeah, probably not.
yeah,
Wow.
we went to. They had a sober bar here at one point that where all they served was non-alcoholic stuff, and they had these like super fancy liquors and non-alcoholic bourbon, and they brought, I think she ordered some kind of like Manhattan or something, a non-alcoholic Manhattan, and she drank it, and she was like, this is so, like, if I wasn't in a sober bar, I would think this is real. Like, and it
Really?
I mean, it was crazy how much it tasted like the real thing. But
Yeah, I've never done that. I've never had the mixed drink kind of thing. I'm
Yeah.
down to try it, but I've just never. You got to be in the right spot. I'm not making one at
Yeah.
home. So
yeah. We were at a hotel, and they had like complimentary mouthwash, and I took some, and it had alcohol in it. I usually use mouthwash has non-alcohol. And man, feeling that burn in my mouth from the alcohol from the mouthwash, even, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like rubbing alcohol almost. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. And even like if I'm sick and I use that throat spray that has alcohol in it or whatever. And I mean, I just swallow. I mean, whatever. That don't count. That is me relapsing. You know, if I'm sick and I got to use a throat spray that has alcohol in it, I'm going to use it. So,
oh yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but you can feel the burn.
You can feel the burn.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, here we are, sober and
Getting
doing great.
older. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a new person being sober, and I wish I would have been this way a long time ago. Because like you, I mean, I started out smoking weed, and then my mom said you can do whatever you want in the house as long as you don't drink alcohol. She was like absolutely against drinking alcohol. So of course that's what I'm gonna do, right? So I started out smoking, then I mixed in a little drinking. Well, then I got caught by the law, and they had to drug test me. So then I couldn't smoke. So then I was just straight drinking, and that just led down the rabbit hole. But I wish I would have been sober longer in my life than what I have been. But it's going to continue, and I feel great. The person who I am now is amazing. I'm sure you feel the same way.
Absolutely. I feel great. I'm the youngest that I'll ever be in this moment, right here, right now. So I better enjoy it. Right here is the youngest I'm ever going to be from this moment.
That's right.
So here I am. I'm just going to live life and what it is. I can't go back. So I got to just keep pushing on.
That's right, man. Yep. All right. Well, that will do it for this episode. Thanks for joining me, man.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. It's always the best. I love you guys so much. I look forward to seeing you here soon.
We love y'all too, man.
Thank you, Bob Cousy.